I am the oldest, but even I do not predate mortal belief. The first time a mortal of Theros looked up into the night sky and said, "I wonder," some part of me came into existence. I am the unknown, the unknowable. I am what sits beyond the far horizon. Krufix, from the story Krufix's Insight. The multiverse is home to a potentially infinite number of planes. Many of these individual worlds are very similar to one another, and many more are not. The different aspects of these worlds is part of what makes them so interesting. One world may be completely covered in a single city, while another can be, for all intents, untamable wilderness. On some worlds, the landscape may be one of metal itself, and on others, the horizon is dotted with floating hedrons. And on one world in particular, the sky is decorated with the silhouette of gods. For as long as the mortals of Theros can remember, the gods have presided over their world in the stars of Nyx. Embodying the very essence of reality, these beings wield power beyond the scope mere mortals can comprehend. Each god is the absolute master of their domain, and demand the respect they feel they deserve as a result. These gods each direct their respective oracles to gather more followers and build temples in their honor, guiding mortals to venerate them and spread their worship as far as possible. For while the people do not know it, on Theros, just as air is needed for life, belief is required for the existence of the gods. The starry realm of Nyx has always draped the sky above Theros. This realm, itself a demiplane, is one of ethereal thought, where ideas can be made into reality. It is from Nyx that the gods watch over Theros, and it serves not only as their home, but as a great tapestry to tell their tales. It is said that Nyx serves as the home of dreams on Theros, and that the slumbering mortal may, in some small way, subconsciously affect this realm. Long ago, the first mortals to gaze up at the starry sky of Nyx would cause the eldest god, Krufix, to initially manifest. Then appeared a god of death, then the sun, sea, forest, and the forge. The gods, in this way, were born not of natural causes, but of mortal imagination and belief. And it is that same belief that empowers them even now, giving them dominion over the natural laws of their world. Inversely, it is the lack of belief that can eventually cause a god to diminish and fade away. The deities know this, which is what drives them to spread their faith above all else. For a lack of faith in a god will surely mean the end of that god. Other gods may have predated the current pantheon, gods now forgotten by mortals, gods that now never existed. Even if there had been a sun god before Heliod, to mortals he had always held that title, and so, in essence, he always was the god of the sun, regardless of who may have come before. As for what did come before, nobody is truly aware. In the distant past, the mortals of Theros were terrorized by the Titans, nearly unstoppable embodiments of primordial destruction. These Titans rampaged across Theros, and the people turned to the only thing they could: faith. Empowered by the hopes and prayers of thousands of mortals, the newly formed gods would strike out against the Titans, defeating and imprisoning them below Theros in the underworld for eternity. With this momentous victory, the gods would solidify their place in the sky and claim dominion over Theros, its people, and their faith. And over time, these gods formed into what the mortals of Theros venerate in the present. There are many different members of the pantheon, 5 major deities, and several more minor ones. The major gods are those whose worship is most well known among the mortals of Theros. There is Heliod, the god of the sun. Mighty and prideful, Heliod does not just hold domain over the sun, but law, justice, and virtue. His may be the most known name of the gods of Theros, and as a result, his pride has given way to an arrogance that leads him into conflict with his divine brethren. Heliod wields the divine spear known as Crusaor, and with it is capable of striking away entire cities in divine retribution. Thassa presides as the goddess who governs the sea and holds domain over all of its creatures. She in some way holds dominion over the passage of time and secrets known only to the dark depths of the ocean. Thassa is worshipped by seafarers and merfolk alike, and she wields the bident known as Dakala. That is, of course, until the merfolk planeswalker Kiora stole it. This weapon has since been replaced by a new spear, forged by Perforos. The underworld of Theros is ruled over by Erebos, who presides over the dead and holds sway over death, misfortune, and wealth. As the lord of the underworld, Erebos has no true presence in the starry sky of Nyx, but is a god nonetheless. He wields the divine whip Mastix, a weapon he often uses to drag the reluctant dead into the underworld. Erebos has no particular love for any of the other gods, but he despises Heliod most of all, for legend holds that the sun god is the one who banished the lord of the dead into the underworld to begin with. Perforos is the god of the forge, artistry, and labor. He serves as the blacksmith of the gods, and with his divine hammer, Akmon, he has forged many great things. Not just weapons of war, but great pieces of art as well. His followers are the ones who first brought the secret of bronze to the people of Theros, and even now they work on the advent of iron. Perforos' mightiest creation yet was a weapon known as the Sword of Chaos, a blade that would eventually become the spear wielded by Elspeth under the name Godsend. The wilderness and wild beasts fall into the domain of Nylea, god of the hunt. Wielding the bow known as Aphixis, Nylea is worshipped by satyrs, centaurs, and people that revere the untamed wilderness. Many of the great monsters of Theros, such as its mighty hydras, are hers to command. Though a god of the hunt, Nylea has little patience for poachers or agriculture. Aside from the major gods are 10 lesser gods of Theros. While these deities are less well known, and their worship not as widespread, they remain gods, each fulfilling a role in the pantheon. Athreos, for example, serves as the god of passage. Around the world of Theros stretches 5 rivers, separating the land of the living from the realm of the dead. Though gaunt in appearance, Athreos has always performed his duty of ferrying the deceased across these rivers to their final resting place. Ephara is the goddess of city-states and industry. She serves as a guide to mortals that seek wisdom and insights of philosophy and architecture, as well as providing protection to the cities that venerate her, such as Meletis. Iroas and Mogis are the twin gods who preside over war. Iroas governs the aspects of honor, valor, and bravery, whereas Mogis rules over the harsher, darker aspects of battle such as violence, bloodlust, and suffering. While Iroas is capable of detaching himself from the battlefield and focus on such things as sporting competition, Mogis is a god driven by his desire to wreak devastation, and drives his Minotaur hordes to spread destruction. While Nylea presides over the wilds of the world, the agricultural aspects of nature fall into the domain of Karametra, who brings to mortals the concepts of farming, the harvest, and is also known as the patron of charity and orphans, presiding over her city of Setessa. Like the god of death, Clothis, god of fate, resides in the underworld. However, unlike Erebos, her stay there is a voluntary one, as she offered to function as the seal that keeps the primordial titans locked away. Despite her absence from the mortal world, Clothis still functions as the goddess of fate and the natural order, and her wrath is incurred when one attempts to break free of their destiny. The domain of hidden knowledge is one shared by several gods. Though she is most known as the mistress of poison and the mother of gorgons, Faraka is also a god who has hidden medicinal knowledge across the world. And there is Phonax, the god of deception and criminals, a god practically composed of lies and secrets. While Keranos is known as the god of storms, his thunderbolts are rivaled by the flashes of insight that he will grant to certain worshippers, though these sparks of inspiration are occasionally ones that cannot be acted upon. And ultimately, there is Krufix, known as the god of horizons. Krufix is the oldest of the known gods, predating all others by being the first one born of mortal belief. Krufix's very nature means that he is privy to all knowledge possessed by the mortals of Theros, even planeswalkers that visit this world. Finally, the satyr planeswalker Xenagos, after learning just how inconsequential the gods of Theros were in the eyes of the multiverse, aimed to unveil the facade of divinity for all to see. Using elaborate rituals, Xenagos was able to harness the energy of a great revel born of one of Elspeth's victories to trigger his own deification. This would cause a great deal of chaos to spread among the mortals of Theros. Perhaps, had Xenagos been able to solidify his place in the sky, mortals would have forgotten that he was ever anything but a god. But his godhood was cut short by Elspeth at Helion's direction, and he ceased to be entirely. It should be noted as well that the mysterious planeswalker Ashiok, in alliance with Phonax, was able to briefly give form to a god of the cities known as Cacophony. But much like a distant dream, this god was quietly forgotten. With the exception of Cacophony, each of the gods has had a card so far. In the original Theros block, they marked the debut of the god-creature type in the game. Mechanically, each god requires devotion to be a creature, a perfect integration of story into gameplay. Between the original Theros block and Theros Beyond Death, there are 22 different cards that depict these gods. Theros Beyond Death is right around the corner, which is what led me to create this video. Theros and its gods seem to be quite popular with the players of the game, so I personally believe there's a decent chance of us seeing more of them in the future. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please consider leaving a like or subscribing to my channel. If you click that bell notification, you'll be alerted whenever I upload a new video. If you have a suggestion for a topic you'd like to see me cover in a discussion video, feel free to let me know in the comments section below. Thank you, and have a great day.